Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
And good morning and welcome to Houston Newsmakers, where I'm delighted to be joined once again by Senator John Cornyn, who is in the process of running for his fourth term in the Senate. Good morning to you, Senator Cornyn. Good to see you again.
Good morning to you.
So,
good to be with you.
Thank you, thank you. So why do you want to do this for another 6 years?
Well, Cambrell, it's been an interesting journey. I actually think I'm a much better senator now than I was when I started, because I've learned how the institutions work. I've learned to develop the trust and confidence of even my political opponents, where we try to find common ground to get things done. Mm-hmm. Perhaps one of the biggest examples of that is when we worked with the entire Texas delegation to bring back about $30 billion worth of relief following Hurricane Harvey. So I think being effective is really important, and I feel like I'm more effective now than I have been at any other time, and I'm ready to keep working.
Your opponent, MJ Hegar, says, Senator Cornyn, it's 18 years, that's enough, and that you're out of touch with the needs of Texans. Your response to that?
Well, I think being out of touch is more than the time you've served in office. It's the policies you embrace. MJ Hegar wants to impose a carbon tax on the oil and gas industry, doubling down on Joe Biden's and Kamala Harris's policy, whether it's to ban fracking or to transition away, which means strangle by regulation, the oil and gas industry that's so essential to the Texas economy and so important to our country. She wants to turn our healthcare system into a single-payer system and destroy the healthcare that's provided by employers to their employees. I just think her policies are put her way out of the mainstream in Texas, and but she's had to do that in order to garner the support of her financial supporters in California and New York. And we've seen tens of millions of dollars pouring into this race, not from Texas, but from the East and West Coast. And I don't think those people have in mind how to sustain and encourage Texas values.
So the talk has been national talk, although those of us in Texas may not think that way, but national talk has been this race is closer than expected. But the polls this week seem to show you in a pretty comfortable position. The New York Times Siena poll has you up by 10 points. The Dallas Morning News says you're up by 8. University of Houston Hobby poll has you up by 7. Does that feel comfortable to you? Or do you believe in them? And how does that change your strategy, or if it does?
Well, if you run for political office and you feel comfortable for an election, you're doing something wrong. I think the important thing is to keep running hard. I've been stuck here in Washington, D.C., and looking forward to getting back to the state today. And we'll be traveling the state by bus and trying to encourage everybody else to get out to vote. But I've been really impressed by the number of people who've already voted, and that we've seen a huge surge of voters, and I'm glad people have that interest. Right. But there are people who want to change Texas and turn us into California, and I'm determined to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. And what I have to tell them is it's not going to happen on my watch.
Well, as a guy who went to middle school and high school in California, I can take offense to that, Senator Cornyn, but that's okay. I'm okay. Hey, what do you tell your voters is your most important accomplishment this term? What do you think that is?
Well, I think supporting our military has been really key. That keeps us safe and secure. But I think the response that we've seen to COVID-19 has been pretty dramatic. I know here recently it's been more contentious, but I was proud to be part of 4 pieces of legislation that provided $3.8 trillion of relief to our communities around Texas and around the country, both to fight the virus, provide personal protective equipment and testing, but also to provide some sustaining support for our small businesses through the Paycheck Protection Program. So right now, I think that dominates pretty much everything. But obviously, healthcare is, generally speaking, is something that's important to all of us. One of the things I want to make sure everybody understands is that nobody in Congress believes we ought to eliminate coverage for pre-existing conditions. I know there's a lot of propaganda out there suggesting that's not true. But my opponent wants to move to a single-payer system. What I'd like to try to do is allow to build on what people have from their employer and give individuals who don't have that option more choices at a price they can afford.
And I'm going
to massive policy differences, but sometimes it's hard to break through.
And I'll talk about that in a little bit too as well. But let's talk about the Supreme Court. The Senate confirmed Amy Coney Barrett to a lifetime appointment. 52-48 was the vote. No Democrats voted for her. The president wasted no time in swearing her in at the White House, and it's what he wanted, and obviously you did too. Was her being confirmed a higher priority, do you think, than passing some sort of stimulus relief for the millions suffering as a result of this pandemic? You talked about that as being a priority, but the optics of putting this ahead of trying to get a stimulus bill don't seem to be too good at this point. What do you think?
Well, I think we can walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. And the truth is, Cameron, we tried to pass on 4 different occasions another $500 billion in COVID-19 relief. But Senator Schumer and our Democratic colleagues simply blocked it. Nancy Pelosi made the incredible statement that nothing was better than something. I think it's just the opposite. I know there are a lot of people still hurting. We need to provide additional funding to make sure that the vaccine, once it's approved by the FDA, is distributed as quickly and efficiently as possible. But there was no reason for us not to take up the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett. That didn't block are considering any additional COVID-19 relief. It was really a political decision made by Speaker Pelosi and others that they wanted people to frankly, continue to be hurting and anxious about their future because they saw it advantaging them in the run up to the election.
So you're saying that they wanted people to continue to hurt. I mean, that's what you just said. That doesn't sound quite right. That's what you believe? That they wanted people to continue to hurt?
It is not. What they wanted is not right. And I do believe that the only explanation for not considering another $500 billion in COVID-19 relief was just because of political positioning. It doesn't make any sense from any rational standpoint because we know people still need help. And I wanted to provide them help, but they would not work with us, and we couldn't do it by ourselves.
We still have a long way to go, it seems, to combat this coronavirus, a pandemic anyway. But let's talk about the president, for example, and what he's doing on the campaign trail. He's telling his followers that we've turned the corner with COVID-19, and then that's while hospitalizations and cases are going up in many states, higher than they've been in many months, getting higher. Do you agree with him that we've turned the corner? And if not, who's going to tell him and the American people a different reality? And are you or any other senators pushing for a national response instead of state by state? Just some comments on that for me.
Yeah, I think it's better handled at the state and local level because we're a big, diverse country. We're a big and diverse state. What makes sense out in West Texas doesn't make sense in Houston, which has been particularly hard hit because it's a big, congested area with many multi-generational families. And the virus, I know, has been a huge challenge there. But I think my interpretation of what the president is saying is we've learned a lot about how to deal with the virus and that these lockdowns are not any longer necessary in order to control them. What we need to do is to exercise some self-discipline, which is to maintain social distancing, wear masking, wash your hands, stay home when you're sick. But I think people have learned to get back to the next normal. Not the new normal, the next normal. Kids going back to school gradually, safely. People going back to work safely. And until we get a vaccine, we're not going to get this in the rearview mirror.